Everyone is talking about it. And what's the story? Kennedy Japan best out again and was upset with NPP, and he threatened with a date, a timeline of middle of next year. And he says he's going to explode one way or the other. He also
Otchere Abamonte so Abe Kasa Efa Honorable Kennedy Akompreku Japan. Then someone within week and last week and some of the media so kind just to eja just a treaty a year MPP Americano say a year next year June July or Baba Monte so Abe expose a month for Baba Monte so Abe Kasa. I'm making sure so we collapse a MPP Americano. So answer way na just support Otchere Abamonte so HSA Kennedy, to be honest, yenye sa ewo politics. Time ma Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia build the Oma party near can. That time na just Honorable Kennedy Akompreku Japan so. Na o soja gum. O say soja gum chese. Koka abronye DC ne amanfo binom omo sori omudi ono Kennedy Akompreku Japan atem. They are say Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia so na eno na chese for Otchere chese onene nyaadwe na politics yenye ne sa obi ntumi hye obi say onni obi atem there nipa na hwe de woye na wa ma respond to that any another idea we our school Kennedy Akompreku Japan we see enya accept to aka yemorem na you go to Paul Otchere in some of the two
Japan story, and everyone is talking about it. And it was a story. Kennedy Japan best out again and was upset with NPP, and he threatened with a date, a timeline of middle of next year, and he says he's going to explode one way or the other. He also cautioned NPP that if they threatened him, they will say this and say that and all that kind of thing. As part of the story, though, he said that NDC people are selling contracts to his wife. He gave a particular example. And that story is known to a few people. I've heard it about contracts being sold, particularly under supplies in ministries, supplying this, supplying that. Contracts are being sold. So this is a supply contract, and he said that the contract is for 55 million, and they're asking his wife to pay 11% to the people who are selling it, but she must give an upfront 7% before they give her the money. All kinds of things. So he was concerned about corruption here and there in NPP and DC. Many of NPP people didn't like what he said, and they rightly so. This is a situation where the party is looking good, and the party is preparing to put itself together for a massive election of national officers. The party is soon electing constituency executives. There's been a very overwhelmingly successful registration exercise. There's been a very successful polling station elections. There's been a very successful coordinators elections. All happened across the country, across 38,000 polling stations, and supervised by the NPP national executive and regional executives. That has happened. What is left soon is the election of constituency executive, and then the big one of the election of the national executive. So the party is cruising smoothly, and so they were very upset that Kennedy Japan, of all people, comes up again with something. But the truth is that Kennedy Japan is not unreasonable, and I'm guessing that if there is some discussions with him, couched properly and delivered by the personalities that he's happy to engage with, it will solve the problem. I mean, it's not an unsurmountable problem. It's just pain in people's hearts. And that's why I like to applaud Bryan Achampong. I love the statements Bryan Achampong put out. And because he wrote a statement and said that if there are other people in the party or there's anybody in the party who can feel what Kennedy feels, it is him. What does Kennedy feel? Being insulted or abused by some party members, irrespective of how much you have supported the party in the past, because you say you want to run a presidential campaign in the party, the people are insulting you. This is really what Kennedy is talking about, bottom line. And Bryan Achampong said that he feels the same thing. But again, and that's why I applaud him, clap for Bryan Achampong. Again, he said, well, this is not the way to deal with it. This is not the way to deal with it. He put out a statement, and there was one particular thing Bryan Achampong said, which is very interesting. Part of Kennedy Japon's problem is being that these attacks on him from all kinds of people, he believes is sponsored by the beneficiary, the political beneficiary of the attack. It's being Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Now, is that true or not? Bryan Achampong addressed that. But before I tell you what Bryan said, which I'm sure you've seen in the statement. In politics, if I'm not your spokesperson, if it's not coming from the candidate and it's not coming from the spokesperson and it's coming from some normal random party guy who attacks one person, the fact that the candidates may benefit from it because it's a campaign, the fact that the candidate doesn't rebuke the person, it doesn't mean that it comes from the candidate. What comes from the candidate is what the candidate says or what the candidate spokesperson says. If it's not that and it's coming from somebody, you can't assume that it's coming from the candidate. That's where the problem is. Now, listen to what Bryan Achampong said about that. Listen to it. So Bryan Achampong said, Dr. Bawumia never commissioned or endorsed anyone to insult Kennedy Ajapan. Here it again. He says, this is Bryan Achampong in his script. He says, Dr. Bawumia never commissioned or endorsed anyone to insult Kennedy Ajapan. So what's Bryan Achampong saying? Bryan Achampong is not saying that Kennedy Ajapan was not insulted, and Bawumia, people will tell you that Bawumia was also at the center of huge abuse in the campaign. Che Mensa Bonsu has talked about it, that Che Mensa Bonsu, now the chief of staff in Bawumia's office, and the candidate, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, had been at the end of heavy bullets of insults from party people on social media. It had gone both ways. So Bryan Achampong is saying that calm the temperatures. That's really the theme of what he wrote. Calm down the temperatures, Kennedy Ajapan. Calm down the temperatures. Let's work on this thing because victory is in sight, isn't it? And that's what politics is about. So I really applaud Bryan Achampong for what he said. The other person that I applaud heavily is Otchere, the minority leader. I'm going to show you a video now about what he said about this, and you'll see the level of maturity of our minority leader. This is amazing, and his thorough understanding of the political pains and ups and downs that people go through in politics. Here's Alex Afenyo-Markin.
Sabi bibini na senkoya endi wakumechi. Emma akumano emfroso to the extent that obeko radio akokese wawo party. Announce say party munsem wodi kogu abonten. Mesremo yewo papa Dr. Bawumia yetu abamano 31st January media dia minim na medi ho dance on die impenimfo bia sese otu omuso anamo se dia beya nka bomba ba no sa anamo no papa no otu onu ankasa sebi oni obi mpo kasa eni die kwan so onfa tumi ni nwowu ano ho odi abotre odo obuo ni eni die kanye nyina abom nti sa wo ye youth we a party member na sa wo Western North sa wo kan hu se oyo baakofo nipa baako ontumi ye adwuma ni nyina nanso bibia nkoyi a ye de asodi na ebede ye de bebon nti mene wo se de ndenya mia ya aduma ye hye wa ha ye ni aban mu enye sike bi na ye eche na mo de odo ane aba nti sa odo no endi enim kan se de be ya onyankopon ya adum na 2028 ne ba ye di amembu tumi e be ma Dr. Bawumia.
Did I add more to what Alex Markin has said? It's truly amazing, a stupendous presentation of political maturity, and he's assured of victory in 2028.
enka babu NDC tesu amie na no embra mu yi toko no sa mantena mu no resign ye ana mebo ana na mosuma mabonti amekirem ntino you have created rooms for speculation me say krono amobo ntino ma me na jaye and it is valid until some maame no be kasa any adiade no wudi amudi ntino ma me na jaye ana me di fo na mebo ana so adwen no atisi bi epen moja dodo a ye so species no what you say? Yeah, na Martin Amidu say omo publish ma me letter no dey resign. Onya na say mo ebe ifo. Na omo hu obi aga na fo nyina hu. Martin Amidu ebe ifo. Wo ye de MPP atem nya dia na ye ya no. Ne Daniel no betima no. Akufo adum no mo re betima. Ko he ni fie. No ofa chejiska na ye de would buy. Enka pepudu bi ma dum akoba fi. Ene wo mo sponsor omo nyina. Mr. Ye mi ya senso. Ene abugina pa omo timi defend. Omo ma ka hebe kapa mu nyina to wo. What would are they able to defend you? And that party na Juma Basin is one will defend you. What Chinabino, Baumia Yati, any pair by one, more voice. Mia Metran tell Hinian Quada or Hinian Quada, and then we say, and you say Nipani voice. Now, the difference between relationship, the difference between our voice. Now, I will say, we voice, you know. And it's a we need because two different things. There be a no cramp on our Saka. Aside that, our voice, no, your connectivity, the linkage, what did the pantem to say? Maybe to him crabby by relationship on your media maintain mechanical ability. But who not crack from for Kakra and why you say? They are a series of Cotier Binusia MP. You better mopa. When you do, you know the Akufa now point him. Well, former the party, the Yamiadom Yaji. I see one more national Adumakube. You decided. What you say? Adumakube. See, Mamma, quite offers so ye. Shabakuyan a year about Miaka so by 1 million a year of Becreti. I want this for Wakofa. Sandra, you are not in some Becret 1 million for Sawaboa. Yes, so fellow from Noah. Now, Kosi will be on the space to space. I come from corner the B and so. Na enano Millicent Sunyani West MP nko kasa mo ne nkropo bi sia wose MPP kran pokran tuma nkreti adwuma eno de okan ye sa so no kro ya NDC no ogidie wa MPP mu se so no kran tumi nkreti adwuma ya de be kreti amo ana me boa eno se be minia enano mi wuru yi training college for wo mo aduane bi wo feed you were saying TikTok na me raho. And I thought, say, one of those things. And yet, the Minister for Education, Babontin, say, President, say, one more Biania and the Kufa, we did 3 times a day, no, Yamu Mudakro, Bako. Sonte, ya. Oh, Martin. Training college for. What you say? Yamu Modiani Bako. Once. And Timwana more training college, ya. Now, or the same, 4 year, Hosnadoye, or call, how they say, University of, University, the Empire, no. Atemu training college. And we call A4 year set A for no. Minim so we dia o se no ochira de. O call set A. O we set A no. And konko ye diploma so sabre na bi ni ho. E yakofo na di diploma. Wa elevate ko diploma. O we no nu se enyu obia na betimi afri bonsu nkwanta ana benchima bankran. And in tiamfa distance learning. E yakofo MPP. Ye ba adwini hwe kan. Enti teacher ni na wonya set A no within 2-3 years no na bia watimi aye distance no onya your diploma na kufu ado baaye no wose se meni apani ato foundation no a medi beko degree kufu ado MPP and ye study training college ye di ba degree and inti no nanka nsesa teacher fo obi kura na jesu obi aye oboni bi ba bia kodro no enna ba bia kodro no a teacher fo de nankan sesa mo ya MPP for kra bone but eduru ba bi dia ho aye hi ba no kra so no mudi bem ye ba biewu a ye be hu ni nipa ye ye di diploma ye ba ye di degree ba ametu hopsen sete no a tati ase ene ye ba ye mudi dim prensa bo mafuma me training college na mkonya amire e wa score kofodua o show fish e do maduane so nkosua and kufu adone ye kofo enne ba ku no mudidie enu krampo ya ma wacha twatwapo bi enam nka ho kosua nka ho ba bia kodro no ansa na uwia on top ya ka cho se djuma kura ni ho abanya odi kan ya o kreti visibly unemployment any party they di kan NDC from Rollins because kaneno me call O level ɛna me ba A level and into 6 form me call 7 years no ebenya mbre ubekọ invest ba wie no there will be space Rollins buy no a ɛna obefa or the saying JTS edi buy ɛna odi SHS buy and instead of 7 years no 3 years ɛna ade bɛkɔ owie ya ohunu niam obetimi aya enye no ɛna o man ma no odi o call or the saying school ya ewo cantonment DIS owie na odi you call you say wegehe ɛna odi o call Brochere NDC for suma muntie niye the founder odi o call Brochere ɛna mu amomutimi fa mo manko Togo no SHS no NJHS no anyama na ka ho ankansa no dwuma no ankoba